What time is it?
A little after 2.
Well, we might as well turn on the television set. The local station's going to broadcast the press conference.
You better keep the volume down low.
Oh, really, Alan? I mean, what is the point? Most of the town's going to be watching, and we know what we're in for. Might as well listen to it loud and clear.
No, I know we're going to get Commissioner, we have a few questions to ask you.
You see that police officer there? What are all those papers that he's got?
Well, I doubt very much if it's the local weather reports.
You see Father anywhere in the crowd?
No, I don't. It worries me.
Everybody and a connection between the three of them. Ray Weber, Quartermaines,
all right, I have a statement to make first. Then I will be happy to answer any of your questions. Now, I've called this conference to clarify the events which led up to the murder of Susan Moore Baldwin. I intend to reveal how she was murdered, but more important, why.
Could you some extortion attempt here?
What about the other suspects in the case?
I just want to ask a few questions.
All right, now I can now establish that Crane Tolliver came to Port Charles for the express purpose of executing an extortion plot on the Quartermaine family. To that end, Susan Baldwin became his co-conspirator in that attempt.
What was the plot?
I'd like to know why he picked the Quartermaine family as his victim.
Does this mean the Quartermaines knew Tolliver when they got here?
Yeah, let me continue. First, I'd like you to bear this point in mind, and that is that Susan Baldwin was the mother of Alan Quartermaine's son. Move along. Apparently, while executing this extortion plot, Crane Tolliver and Susan Baldwin had a falling out, whereby he shot her. Later, he admitted his guilt to one Heather Weber. That admission was heard in its entirety by a Port Charles police officer who has a recording of it. Now, Officer Jones here has exact transcripts of Tolliver's confession to Heather Weber. If we'll just take a few minutes while he passes them out and you can scan them briefly. All right, now if I can conclude this, Crane Tolliver was arrested and then shot while attempting to flee the scene of the crime. He underwent surgery in General Hospital where he later died last night. He made no further statements. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner. I have a question. Mr. Commissioner, you haven't explained to us why Tolliver chose the Quartermaines as his target.
No, I haven't.
Well, in all due respect, sir, but isn't that the key to this story?
The key to this story is Crane Tolliver. And as I've said, he's now dead.
Yes, I know that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about extortion. Now, if what you said is true, there was some kind of connection between Tolliver and the Quartermaines. Tolliver must have had something on the Quartermaines.
It's a reasonable assumption. But it isn't the reason that I called this conference. Any further questions?
No, sir, you haven't answered the last one. Now, as a member of the press and a citizen of this city, I demand an answer. What was the connection between the Quartermaines and this man Tolliver? What did Tolliver have on the Quartermaines that enabled him to extort their money? Mr. Commissioner, that doesn't answer my question, sir.
I don't have the answer.
You mean to tell me that throughout your investigation, your questioning of Tolliver or other suspects or relatives, that you never learned the details of the extortion?
That's correct.
Well, Mr. Commissioner, would you happen to know who does have those answers, sir?
No, I don't. However, you may try asking someone who is present in this room.
Who is that, sir?
He's standing at the rear over there. Mr. Edward Quartermaine.
Mr. Quartermaine, can we get some...
Mr. Quartermaine.
Mr. Quartermaine, what did he mean by that?
What do you have a press card now, Mr. Quartermaine?
I just happened to be here on another matter.
Yes, of course, as long as you hear one question. The commissioner keeps using the word extortion.
He does. I wasn't paying that much attention.
Yes, he used the word extortion consistently.
Yeah, well, if you'll excuse me.
Mr. Quartermaine. Mr. Quartermaine, does extortion really mean blackmail, sir?
Mr. Quartermaine,
Don't even try. Edward, if you're brain in your head, faith, do anything to get out of there.
Sir, do you care to answer my question?
that is not a question, it's a shot in the dark. I have no intention of dignifying it with an answer.
Mr. Quartermaine, I think it only fair to tell you, sir, that I run an investigative newspaper. When we're on a case, we dig until we get all the facts.
Is that a threat?
No, sir, just some friendly advice. And, you know, I think you might serve yourself better if you were open and forthcoming, sir.
I am always open and forthcoming, even with a newspaper such as yours.
Then we're back to my question.
To which my reply is, there was a small personal embarrassment involved.
What was that?
And that is all I intend to say on the subject.
Don't you mean it was a very large embarrassment, Mr. Quartermaine?
Answer the editor's
We want to know
question,
what
would
the
you mind, Mr.
embarrassment was.
Quartermaine?
Excuse us, sir.
Large enough to be worth killing ground.
I've been watching it on television, and frankly, Edward, now that the news conference is over, I am relieved.
Oh, I agree, Lila. It was a pretty harrowing experience. But thank the good Lord, Scorpio really didn't say anything embarrassing.
I thought he handled it very well.
You know, some of those newsmen didn't. I know why they call them news hounds. They're like hungry dogs.
Yes, I saw.
Yeah. I guess we're just going to have to face the fact we will always be a target here in Port Charles.
My dear, people of prominence usually are, but that's not what worries me.
Oh, what does?
Crane Tolliver was a vindictive man, Edward, and I don't think he changed even at the end. And I keep wondering whether he passed on those documents to someone else just to keep the threat alive.
Yeah, I know. That concerns me, too, more than anything else.
Do you suppose he gave them to Jimmy Lee?
I don't know. I've thought about that, you know, and I seriously doubt it. After all, Scorpio did question him right here at the party, and he denied it.
However, one fact remains, Edward. We are still not legally married.
Ah, mere technicality.
Yes, but it must be corrected, dear, and the sooner the better.
Corrected how?
Well, isn't it obvious? You and I must get married.
Oh, Lila, now what's that going to accomplish? I mean, Cousin Herbert could still make our lives pure hell if he ever found out the truth. Marriage at this late date isn't going to keep that jackal at bay.
No, Edward, I've given this matter some serious thought. And I insist we have to be married. We must be married.
Oh, Lila. Good. Do you realize what that would accomplish? What we'd have to go through? Why, we'd have to get a marriage license, go through blood tests, 3-day waiting period. Why, holy Moses, we'd be the laughingstock of this whole town.
Well, I don't mind the inconvenience, dear, and I'm sure you can find somebody who'll do it in a hurry, can't you?
Well, I suppose I could, you know, call Wharton. He's always pretty good at cutting corners.
Then you'll call him. I have your promise.
Very well, Lila, if you're that much afraid of Cousin Herbert.
Oh, Cousin Herbert has nothing to do with it. I want this marriage for myself.
Quartermaine residence? Hello? Hello?